So hello, this is Todd. I have a special treat for you today. I'm at the famous battlefield of the Civil War outside of Richmond here, the 7 Days battles. And here checking things out a little bit. Give you a little view of the area. So, battles between the North and South happened here in 1865. And as I'm walking here, just going to show some of the landscape. We have a historic house over here in the background that has some significance as well. And we are not far from the Chickahominy River, which I felt was used by troops coming up, the river. Obviously, rivers were a refuge. They had water. I'm going to talk about kind of like the things that we don't know about the Civil War, and also the energy that I get. I definitely get an energy in this place. So spirit energy is there's kind of a mark in time left by these battles, okay? It's not necessarily where the spirits are, but there's a part of the spirit, part of the energy of the battle, part of the people who were wounded or died here that has been left. Now here's a sign that talks about the final stand. Anyway, I can go on about this and, what I'm about the history, but the history's already known and you can look it up. About this famous battle that went on here. Also, I do know roughly down in Petersburg, not far south from here, there was also, a large stand that happened there. But really what I want to get into, besides the history, is talk about what I felt. The first thing I feel is I'm starving, which sounds strange, but I feel like they had no food, or food resources were so far between that people were just famished. So the condition of the men and the condition of the people was pretty bad. I also feel the Northern Army for some reason was helped out by transport, whether it be a train or whether it be river boats or something. It felt almost like they were being supplied by other resources. It could include horses and stuff like that. I see men with very scathed feet, like a lot of them were barefoot and didn't even have boots on. I would imagine that their feet were probably pretty torn up from, the walking they did. Of course, I see horses in this picture, but I know that, most of the men didn't have horses. They were walking by foot. I see a lot of people from everywhere. And all different states. It also was saying that in the history this happened at night. Now I felt that was true. The advantage of night attacks by surprise, happened quite frequently. I also felt there were runners, people who would go by horseback, who would check out areas, kind of like informants, to talk about what was ahead. Anyway, they say Lee was here. I'm sort of talking because there's some people who are walking around here. I'm glad this one woman left because she was in there talking up a storm as I was over in the parking lot. So, it's also known through history that there was a lot of hospital care here, so they had to makeshift places where they were doing hospitalization, which, you got to figure back in the 1860s it was pretty brutal. I feel men that were not well from the journey already before they got here. I feel that they were suffering some diseases. I get a lot of yellow of the skin, so perhaps some kind of liver diseases or illnesses. I also see wounds that are badly infected with people. And it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. When I look at this area, though, I'm feeling there was support from about 3 or 4 bands of soldiers, especially from the southern route. And I believe, from what I read here, this is one of the southern victories in the war, and probably based on that fact that there was extra support coming through. I feel that they were taken on all sides, not just one side. So to me, I see what they looked like. The men were short. I know people were a lot shorter back then, but they were kind of short. Right now, can I say which side I'm looking at? Actually, the side I'm looking at right now is the northern side. I'm seeing certain soldiers dressed up. I hear cannons, that's what I hear. I hear cannons. And I would bet at night there's a lot of activity around here with the spirits. We didn't have the hospitalization that we have today to treat these people, and if you were hit by a cannonball, you could lose an arm, lose a leg, lose your head. It was pretty bad. So the area I'm looking at actually right here, I'm very drawn to this area that I believe is more west and then going south. And for some reason, I'm also drawn a little more south here. In relation to some of the battles, I did hear something about Native Americans as well. This was 1865, so there are often groups up in these areas, but I did hear something about that too. A lot of residences and homes were used for food, but oftentimes the homes got right in the middle of the battle, so you had broken windows and you had cannonballs going through roofs and stuff like that. I mean, obviously aiming some of the artillery isn't very practical. You know, the other thing too is I feel like there is some hollowed ground here with some bodies. I don't think they could carry everybody out, and in the conditions there were. I mean, they didn't have transport trucks or anything like that. So I'm going towards the west of the field. I feel a lot of that energy over there. You know, it's kind of interesting because I saw some children, and I was also getting a couple of names. One name that stands out to me is Milton for some reason. I get the name Milton. I see children. I don't know why. I do know that this residence over here was, there were many slaves here as well. By the way, the name here is Gaine's Mill Battlefield, if I didn't say that. It's a very gruesome picture. So, I think I was right as far as the recovery of the bodies and the ones that were too poor to be transported. But yeah, for some reason I'm seeing children here. I don't know if it's at the time of the battlefield. 1873 keeps coming to me for some reason about this area, and it's perhaps not the only battle that went on here. By the way, here I am. Well, when I do photography on my own here, I'm not sitting there taking it of myself. I actually want to take some film of the battlefield here. So we have a lot of famous names in here. Yeah, I did feel a lot around the Chickahominy River. Definitely some of the perils of battle are very, very strong. You know, when I focus and look at the people that were here, I'm seeing a lot of battles with bayonets, hand-to-hand combat. It was really brutal. Really brutal. But the feeling I get from the men in the battle was like starvation. Just really, really bad conditions. I get I'm not sure about the number that I'm seeing lost, but I'm getting around 52 for some reason. And I feel the direction after this battle was to head eastward and to meet with other troops. I'm not seeing anything as far as buildings here, honestly. I do get a lot of farms dotting the land. As far as history going back further, I am getting King William, and these counties is just like I did in one of my videos. I was talking about the history on this old farm up there, and it kind of persists into what I'm feeling now. So I look for different things, and I also look for land changes that might have happened, fires that could have happened. Although I'm getting during the battle of these Civil War battles a lot of heavy winter weather, a lot heavier than what we have now. So I'd say a lot of the casualties were very bad, even before they were in battle. It's my motorcycle. Finally some weather to ride, although I usually go to appointments on my bike. It certainly saves on gas money. Anyway, I do get a couple of spirits though. I do see one man over there who is on the southern side. I see his waistcoat. He must have been pretty important to have a coat like he has. Yeah, like I said, I see people sort of scoping out areas, then going to meet other people, and they did not bathe much. I could kind of smell it as I walked by. It's really incredible. Most of the ages looked like they were 16-year-olds. I saw a lot of guns misfiring too. I even see that ammunition was definitely hoarded And any injury that happened on the other side, they would take their gunpowder and ammunition. Definitely, shortages were the hardest problem during the Civil War, I feel. Shortages with weaponry, gunpowder, and food. I'm looking at some of the food they're eating, and it's kind of like a diluted mixture for a soup. I feel they relied on some of these farms for food. I can see them carrying things like corn flour, molasses. Definitely tobacco was very desired among them. But really the feeling I get of not coming home so strong, you know? But you got to figure a lot of these soldiers were kids. They were young, 19, 20 years old. Other than their families, they really didn't have too many lives. They weren't married, a lot of them. A lot of them were raised on farms. They don't feel like a lot of education. I'm talking about both sides too. I do hear, and I'll have to check on the history, but I heard something about a regiment from Pennsylvania here. That's what I'm getting. And if you ask me some of the states that I feel who were lost here, as far as the men, I see all sorts of things. I get Alabama. Actually, I get a lot of people from Virginia going north and then going west. Now I'm going towards Georgia, those areas. Northern side, I'm feeling as far away as Michigan, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. I see a lot of people here, though. Get a lot of officers. A lot of different groups. I feel like they tried to trick them a little bit, too. Well, they're showing the cannons out in the middle of the field here, but I actually feel that some of the cannons were sort of hidden, which would make sense. I also get some kind of an explosive bomb that they made out of glass and gunpowder. Because I feel like a lot of people were blinded or they had glass in their skin. I'll have to double check on the history of that. There it goes again. I don't know. It must be coming from this homestead over here, this plantation. Obviously, it's private now. I can't go up to the house, but this is I guess, the fixed up version of what the plantation was. I keep seeing children here. I keep seeing children playing in the field. No, not during the Civil War, but I'm feeling around that time. I see a lot around the 1880s in this area as well. Like there was a significant school in this area. And funny enough, I get a school for the deaf and the blind. So I'll have to check up on the history. But it's too bad I can't come out here at night. Because spirits do come and go. And definitely I feel a lot around here. I'm not exactly sure where the bodies are buried, but I feel like this backfield here, beyond the plantation in this field, so if anybody ever comes here, I feel a lot over there. I also feel like there was no money for the Civil War. There was like, this was any kind of resources that came in, there wasn't like government funding, you know what I mean? And if you lost a pair of shoes or boots, I feel you were screwed. So it was very, very hard times. Very hard times. Anyway, that's all for now. And I thought I'd stop by here today. I was out near Route 95 or Highway 95, and on my way back I saw this. So I will talk to you soon. Anyway, everybody be good.